Hi, and welcome to Comedy Recapped. Today we'll be examining 2006's My Super Ex-Girlfriend. Beware, spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a robbery by a gang of thieves in a jewelry shop, while a mysterious figure flies around the city. Rejoicing after a successful robbery, the thieves are caught and taken to the closest police station by the superhero known as G-Girl. One of the robbers tries to escape and shoots G-Girl, but the bullets have no effect. She uses her super speed to catch up to the robber and knocks him out. She collects her rifle before he collapses and bends it. The spectators acknowledge her appearance and chant her name as she flies into the sky. Two friends, Matthew and Vaughn, read about G-Girl in a newspaper on a train. They have a brief conversation about what they would want their superpower to be if they had one. Vaughn sees a hot girl on the train and calls Matthew's attention. Vaughn tells Matthew to go ask her out, but he refuses. After being persuaded by Vaughn, Matthew decides to just go for it. He makes his move, but is turned down. We later know her name to be Jenny Johnson. In a split second, a thief grabs Jennifer's bag as the train stops and he runs away with the bag. Without giving it much thought, Matthew rushes to save the day. He runs after the thief until he catches up to him. The thief is almost hit by a moving car, making him drop the bag, and he runs away without it. Matthew picks up the bag and calls the thief names. This makes the thief return with a metal pipe in his hand. Matthew becomes frightened and makes a run for it. He takes refuge in a dumpster but is followed by the thief. The thief hits the dumpster. Left with no choice, Matthew comes out of the dumpster holding a blow dryer he found inside it. He comes out, but he sees Jennifer instead of the thief. He hands the bag over to her. He asks her on a date again, and this time she accepts. They move further and further away from the dumpster, and we see the thief hanging by a thread on the second floor. In the next scene, we see Matthew in his workplace where he worked as a project manager and is particularly close to another staff member named Hannah Lewis. She's in a relationship with a model named Steve. Later that day, Matthew passes books to Hannah, who is on a ladder, and she places them on the right shelves. Matthew turns and stares at her butt and is caught by Carla Dunkirk, Matthew's boss. She tries to get Hannah to file a complaint, but is unsuccessful. Carla leaves and Jennifer calls Matthew and makes dinner plans with him. Hannah is surprised to hear Matthew talking to a real lady. On the first date, Jennifer is distracted and doesn't pay much attention to Matthew. She leaves the restaurant to perform superhero duties and returns without Matthew even noticing it. The next day at work, Matthew tells Hannah how his date went. Hannah's boyfriend, Steve, arrives at the office to take her out. She leaves after telling Matthew to stay away from Jennifer. Matthew has a second date with Jenny, and she begins to behave aggressively and neurotic. They end up hitting the sheets, and Matthew puts the bread in the oven, breaking the bed while in the process. Unknown to them, a drone was capturing their every move. Matthew is taken by force the next day by Professor Bedlam's men and shoved into his car. A guard constantly slaps Matthew in the car while he is being interrogated by Professor Bedlam about his new girlfriend. Once they're done with him, Professor Bedlam and his men leave Matthew hanging by a rope on the Statue of Liberty. He falls, but G-Girl is there just in time to save him and also prevents him from looking at her while doing it. Back at Jennifer's place, Professor Bedlam breaks in and takes her hair from the comb. He leaves right after, making it seem like he was never there. Meanwhile, Matthew meets with Jennifer and they take a walk together. He tells her about his experience with G-Girl but thinks she's crazy. Jennifer is furious after hearing this and begins to act out. A small girl is almost hit by a moving vehicle, but Jennifer is quick to save the girl. She then warns the girl to always look both ways before crossing. Jennifer walks back slowly while talking to the girl, and she is thrown by an oncoming vehicle. Luckily, she lands on a table, stands up like it was nothing, and walks away with Matthew. Having mixed feelings of confusion and worry, Matthew constantly asks Jennifer if she was fine while trying to persuade her to visit the hospital for a checkup. Jennifer takes Matthew to her home, where she reveals her true identity as G-Girl. The shocked Matthew is made to swear to never reveal her true identity. Later that night, they go for a walk, and Jennifer reveals to Matthew that Professor Bedlam's real name was Barry. She tells him about her relationship with him in high school. Being the odd ones out, they were constantly bullied, but this made them closer and they looked out for one another. Jennifer continues to tell Matthew that Barry was her boyfriend, but they drifted apart after a meteorite crashed in the forest just when they were about to do two-person push-ups. She had touched the meteorite and it exploded. The meteorite gave her powers and changed her hair color. Matthew then whispers in Jennifer's ear, and she leaves and comes back wearing her superhero costume. She takes him into the sky, and they make out while flying. Matthew is frightened and screams, "Don't ever do that again!" In the meantime, Barry discovers a method of neutralizing Jennifer's powers for good. Jennifer pays Matthew an unexpected visit while in New Jersey, working on a company project. Jennifer meets Matthew's coworker Hannah for the first time, and Matthew proposes a double date. Later that night, Hannah informs them that Steve would be unable to make it. A missile launch is announced. The missile could take thousands of human lives. Matthew persuades the reluctant Jennifer to go save the day. Jennifer finally gives in and saves the city from destruction. Jennifer returns and sees Matthew hugging Hannah, celebrating G-Girl's success. This drive home is tense. Jennifer accuses Matthew of wanting to sleep with Hannah and that he's unable to because she's out of his league. The next day, Matthew confesses to Vaughn that he might be in love with someone else. "Who is it?" Vaughn asks. Matthew replies that he has to first break up with Jennifer before confessing his feelings to the other girl. Matthew successfully breaks up with Jennifer. She almost boils his pet fish and tells him that he would regret it before flying through the roof. The next day, Matthew is stripped of his clothes by Jennifer during a presentation using her super speed. Matthew is fired and leaves after telling Hannah to stay away because he wouldn't be able to handle her being hurt. Barry visits Matthew and asks for his help in neutralizing G-Girl or Jennifer. Matthew refuses to betray her, and Barry leaves his card. Matthew continues to pack. He receives a call from Hannah, who seems to be in distress. He rushes over, thinking maybe G-Girl was behind it. Hannah then tells him that she has broken up with Steve after seeing him in bed with 3 women. Matthew confesses his feelings to Hannah, and they make out. G-Girl finds them and throws a black shark into their room. Matthew contacts Barry. He sees that Barry has a hidden room filled with pictures of Jennifer, like a shrine. Matthew and Barry agree to use Matthew as bait for Jennifer. Matthew returns to Jennifer with roses and invites her to dinner. She arrives and sees a huge box, which Matthew explains to be an apology gift. During the dinner, Hannah walks in and finds Matthew kissing Jennifer. And a few minutes later, Vaughn walks in. The ladies begin arguing. Hannah removes Jennifer's wig in the process and is surprised to find out Jennifer is actually G-Girl. Matthew tells Vaughn to open the gift box, and when he does, the huge rock in it absorbs the energy from Jennifer, turning her hair back to its original color. Barry, however, tries to take the power for himself, but Matthew stops him. Jennifer and Hannah both touch the rock, making the powers transfer to each of them. They begin fighting each other, but this is all put to a stop when Matthew steps in and informs Jennifer that the man who truly loved and worshipped her all along was Barry. They reconcile as Matthew and Hannah embrace each other. The film ends with the two of them enjoying some very rowdy bedroom rodeo. That's gonna wrap up this recap. We hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please click the subscribe button with notifications turned on so you don't miss a single video.